Hi, Miranda. How you doing? And Miranda, I want to tell you a little bit about 2 weekends ago. I was at a really wonderful event at the Schomburg Center for Audre Lorde, but then you read Audre Lorde. It was put together by Novella Ford and Alexis Pauline Gums, and a lot of really wonderful people came to this exhibition. I mean, excuse me, this presentation. You have folks like Holly Smith, who is the archivist of the Audre Lorde papers at Spelman. And in
Wow.
that collection, you have all these really wonderful, of course, her writings and drafts of writings and published works, but you also have a lot of photographs, some amazing photographs. And so this is one of those photographs, I
Um,
believe.
yeah, that's a great
Yeah,
photograph of her.
it is. It is. And so
For people
we
who don't know Audre Lorde, say just a little bit about who she is.
sure, Audrey. If you don't know about Audre Lorde, people, come on now. Well, anyway, Audre Lorde was a black feminist mother, lawyer, lesbian, activist, and I feel like they're missing at least two more things that you would say. But Audre
Writer.
Lorde was born in Harlem in 1934, I think, and she and Toni Morrison share a birthday, February 18th. And
Oh, I
Audre
don't think I
wrote
knew that.
a lot of beautiful poetry. I want to say she has 9 or 10 books,
She
as
has
well
a
as a
lot. She has
collection.
a
She has
lot.
quite a few, and she was a librarian at one time, so she's definitely near and dear to my heart in that sense. If you haven't read Audre Lorde, you should, because she is a great resource for the times we live in right now. Great source of
Yeah.
inspiration, nutrition, and focus. One
Right.
of the things she liked to say was, um, "Yes, I was afraid, but I did it anyway," kind of thing. So I
Yeah.
really
Right.
love that kind of person. So yeah. So how are you doing, Miranda? What have you been up to?
I'm doing good. What have I been up to? I don't know because it just feels like once I do something, there's something else coming
Yeah,
up. There's something
understood.
coming up. But I'll tell you one of the big things, and maybe this could resonate with anybody who's out there, either right now or in the future. I'm planning my family reunion. So this
Oh,
conversation
really?
around photographs is important because that's a big piece
Hmm.
to the reunion planning, at least for me, because I'm,
Okay.
doing like the cultural heritage piece of the planning.
Right. What
Um,
does that involve?
the cultural heritage piece.
Hmm.
So, well, one of the things. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it's a lot. It's a lot in different ways of thinking about it. But one of the
Okay.
pieces is that everybody's pedigree charts, or everybody who's attending, is going
Hmm.
to get like a family history, which I'm working on updating,
Okay.
and their chart, their line of like their
Oh,
ancestors,
wow.
who they came from, and how they all link. My family's name is Bowen, and so how they all link to this Bowen name, because some
Hmm.
people are many generations removed from
Okay.
Bowen. And so, like for instance, my last name is Mims, and so if I didn't know my
Hmm.
genealogy, I might not realize that Bowen is who I descend from. So anyway, so we're going to give a family history, and then give everyone their own individual
Okay.
family trees,
That's
so they can
awesome.
see. Yes, and so that's part of it.
Okay.
One and the other part is getting. We have digitized all of our old family videos, especially family reunion
Mm-hmm.
videos. So getting all
Mm-hmm.
that together so that during our main event, which is this all day picnic, we're going to
Mm-hmm.
be showing old videos and then
Okay.
photographs. So we're putting together a
Wow.
memorial
Wow.
video
Mm-hmm.
for everybody who has passed in my family line, and this could be people we've never met.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And putting together any photographs, any remembrance that we have. I plan to do like small interviews with people so that they can at least
Mm-hmm.
speak it. So,
Okay.
but I want people's photographs. That's a big thing I've been trying to put out to my family members. Like, if you have a
I was going to
photograph
ask
of
you how
somebody
was
who
that
has passed,
going. Yes.
right, send it to
Mm-hmm.
me so I can add it to the video.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's only so many photographs that I have of my mother, who
Mm-hmm.
has been like the family historian and genealogist.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so that's what that entails. That
That's a lot of
cultural
work.
heritage.
That's a
It's a lot
lot
of
of
work.
work. And you did
Luckily for
mention,
us, a lot of our family work has been done. So like
oh, good,
histories,
good.
genealogy. So a lot of it is like printing out family trees.
Mm-hmm.
That's the big
Mm-hmm.
piece. It's not like actually constructing them. It's printing
Okay.
them out.
Oh,
I
that's
mean, there's
good.
still like 70 plus people coming, so that's a lot of printing.
That's a lot
But
of printing. Mm-hmm.
the videos and putting together the the remembrance piece.
Hmm.
That's going to be, um, yeah. So yeah, so that's what I've been doing. So in the midst of doing
Okay.
everything else,
Right.
planning a family reunion that's coming up in May.
That's awesome. That's really awesome.
Yeah,
I, photos everywhere. That's
photos
kind of the
everywhere.
theme that we're
This
working
is a
with.
good way
Photos.
to use your photos.
It is a great way to use your photos in family history, family reunions. Like you, I'm helping to plan our family reunion, and I'm the guy doing the journal. So I'm looking for,
Uh,
you know, the new graduates, newborns, our memorial folks who passed in the last couple years, and putting them in this what I hope is going to be a beautiful, wonderful keepsake of our journal, as well as a constructed family history for the Houstons. And so I'm excited about that because I do have enough information to construct these histories.
well,
And
I
so I'm
think
very
it's going
happy
to
about
be
that.
nice, Stephen, knowing the things you do and seeing the other productions that you've put
Oh
together.
shucks, it's called trying. That's the thing. It's like
It is called trying. It is.
trying to get it done and get it done because it's like herding cats sometimes to
Mhm.
get those photographs, to
Mhm.
get that history, and to at one point I was putting together these really small capsule biographies that I would send out to my family members of a deceased family member, like my mom and my brother and my
Right.
dad and my sister. And I would always say, hey, you can contribute to this. This isn't the last word because you had a different experience. I'm just
Right.
doing some very basic stuff. So and I love that. I love that. So I'm waiting for someone. If my family members are watching, I'm waiting for you to contribute.
Well,
It'll
the
be
thing
awesome.
is, people really do love these things, but it is hard getting
Hmm.
it out of them. Like once
Yes.
it's done and people are looking at it and seeing it,
Hmm.
doing something, like mine is similar to yours, except for yours is, in a sort of a monograph form, mine's in a video form. But
Hmm.
yeah, I feel the same way. I have photographs of people, but this might have been, maybe it's your mother. I have photographs,
Right.
but like you have a different way of understanding your mother.
Hmm.
And
Right.
so I want to capture that. I don't want it to just come from my understanding. And,
Exactly. Hmm.
I even if we both have the same photograph, like what's the difference? And the difference would be in the remembrance and what they tell me or what they
Hmm.
say about their mother, which is very different. And so, yeah, I
Hmm.
love that. I love hearing how people remember people in like
Me
different
too.
ways.
Me too. It's just a fuller picture. There's no such thing as the fullest picture, but there can be a fuller picture, right? With different people talking about your mom's character.
Right.
Something you
And I'll
didn't know.
look at
Hmm.
Yeah, and I'll look at a photograph of someone and I'll see the scene and I might I wasn't there, let's just say, but I
Hmm.
recognize who's in the picture and I recognize the scene, but like the people who are in the picture who took the picture can tell so much more about what was happening.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that's what's so fascinating. And so for me
Hmm.
at least, maybe I know the people, but for somebody like another generation of mine,
Hmm.
they might not even know who's in the picture. And so having
Exactly.
that context is crucial.
Hmm.
And I think that's part of what we'll talk about today, right? Like the context with the picture, not just how we
Absolutely.
preserving the physical, the digital object, but how we also
Hmm.
preserving the story that accompanies those
Absolutely.
pictures.
I think we're past the time where it was really common for people to write on the back of a photograph, right?
Right.
Well, I think
Yes,
we're
there's no backs anymore.
there are any backs with digital photographs, but there is metadata,
Right.
right? And so I guess when we were putting this particular kickback together, the first thing that popped in my mind
Yeah, welcome
is,
everybody to the kickback. Sorry,
oh
Stephen.
yes, we're just talking along. Yeah,
We're having
welcome.
welcome to the kickback if you're here with us in the present or if you're here with us in the
In the
future.
future.
We're happy that you joined us either way.
Yes,
And if you're here today, put something in the chat to say
please. We would love
hello.
to hear from you.
And
And
we definitely want this to be a conversation. So if you have thoughts and ideas on what to do with all these photographs,
what to
um,
do with all these photographs.
yeah,
And
like
with Miranda and I, we talk to each other all day long sometimes in different meetings and different reports. So sometimes we're just in this flow. So we want you to come in and chat with us as well. And tell us why you're here. Tell us how you take care of your photographs or different ways, because I've noticed over the years, because Miranda and I both worked in institutions that had photographic collections, they were really highly processed to make available to the public. So they were saved a particular way, they were cataloged a particular way, you had to handle them a particular way because this is in perpetuity, when they're in an archive. And in your home, you know, photographs could be under the bed, they can be between books, it could be anywhere, right? And so, Miranda, what is, like, maybe could you talk about, if you were just starting to archive your collection, right? Your collection of photographs. Let's start with with the analog, the physical, the print photographs. What advice would you give somebody?
So I definitely have some advice, but I want to introduce
Mhm.
us for people that don't know who we are. As Steven said, we talk all
Oh
the
wow, we
time.
are just talking all the time. Yes.
Stephen and
So.
I are the co-founders of the Nomadic Archivist Project, which is an initiative where we work with different people, individuals, organizations across the global Black world to help
Mhm.
them think through what to do with all their stuff, what to do with their archives, how to preserve
Mhm.
it, how to negotiate with institutions if they're thinking of
Right.
donating, if they're thinking of creating their own community or church archive or family
Mhm.
archive. um, Stephen and I like to partner with different people who are doing really awesome work around
Mhm. Mhm.
preserving Black material culture and Black experiences.
Mhm.
And so that's what we do with the Nomadic Archives Project. So if you're interested, check us out sometime.
Mhm.
Um, so to get to your question though, Stephen,
Yes.
you
Mhm.
asked about where to start when
Where
it
to
comes
start?
to physical materials. And so I think the biggest thing is to photographs sort of like audio visual materials, but not quite as extreme, but they are very high risk materials often
Okay.
in terms of, right, like in terms of caring for them.
Right.
And
Mhm.
depending on if they're talking about negatives, because
Mhm.
a lot
Mhm.
of the times we'll have these negatives and then we'll have the prints.
And contact
um
sheets
and
sometimes. Yeah.
contact sheets if you're a photographer, absolutely.
Mhm.
And depending on when these photographs were taken will also depend on like the quality of them.
Right.
If they've yellowed or if they're cracked or if they're ripped in any way, or if they're daguerreotypes and they're glass or something like that.
Mhm.
You kind of want to think about like the fragility of them. And so
Right.
if with photographs, like one of the biggest things is try to physical photographs.
Mhm.
I would say the first thing is to really think about where these materials are and how they're
Mhm.
being stored. Are they in a container or in a location that
Mhm.
is stable enough to be,
Mhm.
until you're able to do something with? So they could be in a box like this, or they could be, in a shoebox.
Mhm.
But it's more about like the location of the materials than anything else. So if they're in the basement or the attic, we always say those are more high risk areas because they're places that are typically not temperature controlled
Mhm.
or may suffer from water issues. And so those are
Mhm.
the kinds of things that will make, that could possibly damage your photographs,
Mhm.
or if it's too
Humidity.
dry,
Mhm.
too wet, too dry, all those
Mhm.
things. So like think about like a more stable location. I mean, that's the first thing I would do when it comes to physical photographs, is to think
Okay.
about where they're actually living. What about you?
All of that. I think in the past you've said something, I'm going to misquote you, but I really love it. It's like, don't keep your archives where you wouldn't sleep or where you wouldn't be. And you wouldn't, well, some people sleep in their attic because it's a refurbished attic or a
Right.
refurbished basement, but it's really about what you said about the temperature fluctuation. So I would
Right.
say that, and I think the first, find out where they are, and then put them immediately somewhere where they won't be harmed if they're in harm's way right now.
Right.
And this means both loose photographs, but also photographs that are in photo books. And we all know about that sticky sort of tape under it, the adhesive that holds it down, that could also contribute to the fragility of it. I've worked with some of my family members' photo. photo albums, and some of the photographs won't come out. So the best I
Yeah.
can do at this point, without any of my implements, my tools, is to take photographs of those photographs. And so later on, I'm going to do a little bit more work with them and get them to a restoration. Have them restored properly by someone. So I would definitely say secure them, place them out of harm's way if they're in harm's way.
And I would also say if you're going to remove them from a photo album, the way they were placed in a photo album is also is oftentimes intentional. How the
Hmm.
photograph look.
Hmm.
And so you might want to take a photograph of the page, how they were laid out. Um,
That's a good
and
point. Hmm.
yeah, just to sort of recreate like the mind of the person. It could be your mind that
Hmm.
put it together, but it could be, a photo album that's passed down to you. Um, I feel like that's always a really important step before just dismantling any sort of book that was intentionally put together.
Well, thank you. I'm going to do that. That's a good idea. I'll take it advice. And so once they're ready to sort of like with loose photographs, once a person is ready to take his or their photographs and begin organizing them, what would you recommend?
I would say once you sort of see what you have before you even start to like organize
Hmm.
or inventory them, I would put together a plan. And it doesn't have to be like a
Okay.
comprehensive plan, but
Okay.
just some plan so that you have a path to follow. One of the things I always recommend to people, if it's physical photographs, because we're still talking about physical, not digital,
Right. We're going to talk about digital in a moment. Hmm.
yeah, is to really care for your negatives. And a lot of people will not think about their negatives because they're like, like you go to wherever, drugstore, and they've given you photographs, you got all these negatives tucked away, and you're really looking at the prints because the prints are what you can see. The negatives are really difficult to see without like a light box or something.
Hmm.
But the negatives are actually, and probably the most important thing that you could
Wow.
possibly have because
Why? Hmm.
you can restore the photograph to its original. So its
Hmm.
original look and feel. The
Okay.
printing can be done in all types of ways. The paper could
Hmm.
be, the paper could be amazing or it could be not the best paper. It could be
Hmm.
yellowed, discolored, the photographs. Something could have spilled on the prints, ripped the prints. But if you have that negative, you can restore
Hmm.
the print to look, you know, amazing again. And not only
Hmm.
that, you can do whatever you want with that negative. So a print,
Right.
even if you have a decent print, even if it still
Hmm.
looks good and you put it on a scanner and you blow it up, you'll see the pixelation immediately.
Mm.
You'll not be able to do the types of thing. And this is not true for every picture. Every picture you have, you're not going to want to blow up on a billboard or do
Right.
something crazy with, but
That's
some you
good to
might.
remember.
Some
Yes.
you might. And so if you have that negative and you're scanning the negative, you have so much more information
Hmm.
in it. And so like people who work with digital photographs will know what I'm talking about with like the information that comes
Hmm.
with it. You could do so much more when it comes to corrective, like coloring or removing things than
Hmm.
you can
Hmm.
with a print. So,
Ah.
it's kind of like that master, that raw file.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Don't
To really do
discount your
the
negatives. I know it's really easy because you
don't
can't
discount
see
those
them the same
negatives.
way. They're small
Absolutely.
and, if you're not working with like a different type, a scanner that has the ability to scan a negative, it could feel like it's a lot of work
Hmm.
but don't discount them. Whatever you do, I would just ask that you think about what to do with the negatives. But that's the kind of thing you want to think about when you put a plan together. Like, am I going to keep the negatives? Am I going to scan the negatives versus the prints? Am I going to put together an
Hmm.
inventory or organize them first by
Hmm.
date or event? Or am I just going to slap them on a scanner and then start doing it and
Hmm.
thinking about file name conventions and all that stuff? It's just really good to kind of have a plan. Like, are you going to scan, are you planning on scanning? And if you are you going to scan it with a high res TIFF preservation file
Right.
and then a
Right.
JPEG? Are you going to do it with your phone versus a scanner
Hmm.
or a camera? So like
Right.
all those things, it's just good to kind of think about what the plan is before
Hmm.
even getting into it because it could be a lot of work. And so depending on how many photographs you have,
Hmm.
And do you want to do it yourself versus getting somebody else to do it? And are you okay
Hmm.
with like knowing that if you've got boxes and boxes, it could take a really long time, and you
Hmm.
just set aside like an hour. Stephen does this archiving Sunday thing, and you just set aside like an hour a week to work on it.
Hmm.
Just that, like, and I wouldn't even say like you should be laboring over this plan. This plan could take
Right.
you like maybe an hour to put together. But I think a plan will help you when it becomes overwhelming or when you have questions. Then you can go back to your plan and you can modify it if you need to, or remember, oh, this is why I made that decision.
Very good.
It can be really helpful to have that path already laid out before you start.
It's good because what you're doing is the map helps you keep focus, right? And you can always change it. You can always add things to it. But when you start off with a plan, a general plan, I think it takes the weight off the anxiety. It reduces the anxiety
Right.
of doing the work because you've already conceptualized it. You have some vision about what you want to do. You have a sense of what the steps are. To
Hmm.
your point about setting time aside, getting someone to help you, one or two people, is always a good thing because photographs evoke memories and you can get lost in the memory. This is a picture of my mom who I took this picture
Uh-oh.
when I was
What's
a
your mom's
teenager.
name? Introduce her, please, to us.
Sure. My mom's name is Elaine Ellen Houston. And this is about 1983. I think I was a junior in high school. And she's standing in front of the building that she used to work at called Toledo Trust. I'm from Toledo, Ohio. And so I've had this photograph for years and I've made numerous copies of it. And to your point, Miranda, I have a negative. And another point about
Can
negatives,
I
very
interrupt you
briefly.
really quickly?
Sure.
I just realized now that we must be kindred spirits because my mother's middle name is Elaine.
You're
And I
insane.
never put that together until you just said that now. I don't know why, after all the years we've known each other. But go ahead. You were talking about negatives. I don't want to take your thought
After
away.
all the years. No, you're fine. And so early on, when you were talking about how important the negative it was, I would say during the pandemic, I ordered some sleeves for my negatives and I just slid them in the sleeves. The
Yeah.
and now they're sitting. I wish I would have pulled it off the shelf beforehand, but I knew that they were important. I knew that they were important. I did some organizing, but not a lot. I just wanted to secure them, and then maybe archive them, go through them later and label them that way. But it was perfect because they were just everywhere. When you have photographs developed, there's your little small pocket where you put your negatives,
Yeah.
where the negatives are, and they could fall out. You can scratch them. You might not even give them a second thought. So I'm so glad that you mentioned that as a first sort of secure step. And so, for those of you who are interested in doing this work, I have a PDF of this book called Creating a Living Legacy Career Documentation for the Visual Artist. But the principles are for anyone in terms of taking care of your analog and digital archives. So, for those of you who are interested, let me know. Just email us just go to our webpage, Nomadic Archivist Project, and then send us an email, and I'll make sure you get a copy of it.
Hmm.
Hmm.
I would
The
take
cool
him up
thing,
on that. I would
take
take
them
him
up
up
on
on
that.
that.
I'm the one. Take it up on me. And so, Miranda, I want to shift gears really quickly because I noticed that when I told people we were going to do this, they were very interested in digital archives. No one mentioned to me,
Oh, really? The
well,
physical?
it was really it's really the digital, and I think I understand why. I think it's because people are producing so much. They have archives on. I mean, images on their phone, their computer, their iPads, but they also have photographs in their social media, and so they were really interested in how best to take care of those resources, but also how to just get started because it seems so overwhelming with all these. You just don't take one picture, you take several pictures. You have pictures that came out blurry, and pretty soon you need more space on your phone, on your computer. And so it's something that's always that has dogged me until I got a system together. I'm still have to hold myself to the fire to do it monthly because wow, it's a lot. And I
It's
take
a
a
lot.
lot of photographs. Yeah.
It's a lot. And we take a ton. And I don't even
Hmm.
take a lot of photographs. I'm somebody who doesn't take photographs at all, and I still have a
I
ton. So I
know.
can only imagine somebody who
I'm the one. I'm the one that asked
people
you
out
to
there.
do so.
Um, I think I don't want to go back
Wow.
to saying like we need a plan, but I do think you need a why.
Hmm.
Like, why are you doing? Why are you saving them? For what
Yes.
purpose? And it could be for multiple purposes, and there could be, it could be the family stuff is going for the family, your creative stuff is going creative, friends,
Right.
whatever. Um, but you kind of need because you're right. There's a lot of photographs to go through when it's
Hmm.
digital. It's actually a lot easier, even though it's a lot of work with physical photographs to organize them, and then if on top of that to digitize them, it's a
Hmm.
lot. But I would say start with the why. Why are you doing it? Why are you going to invest so much of your time and energy
Hmm.
into organizing your digital photographs?
Hmm.
Once you know that, it'll be clearer on like how to then proceed. And I
Okay.
think, um, one of the tricks that I do that makes it easier is that I start creating folders for things.
Okay.
So if it's a certain event that I went to, or a birthday party, or my dog, or whatever I'm taking pictures of, I'll make
Hmm.
folders of them, and I'll quickly say what it is and the date, and then I'll
Okay.
just start throwing photos that relate to it in there. In my why comes to, if they are things that I just want to have to look at when, like if I'm traveling, I
Hmm.
oftentimes want to look at my dog, and I'll go to his folder and I will just scroll through and look at his pictures, right? All the
Wow.
different ways
Wow.
that he does
Nice.
the cute things that I love.
The things that you love.
Right. But
Hmm.
these are not photos that I am going to put into the Smithsonian one day, right? They're not
Hmm.
something they're just for my own love and
Edification and
comfort,
love.
and
Yeah.
yes, right? But my
Hmm.
family photos I treat very differently,
How so?
because my why is different. I want to pass them on to people. I want to make sure that, especially somebody like
Hmm. Hmm.
my nieces, that they get those photographs one day.
Right.
And so labeling them becomes a little bit more of an effort, because
Hmm. More
I'm very
intentional.
interested. Yes, I'm very
Hmm.
interested for them to know exactly what those photographs are. And so they get much more of my attention. One of
Okay.
the things that I have not done that I would love to do at some point is to, what we were talking about before, is write context for things.
Right. Hmm.
Sometimes there is context, but a lot of times there's not. And so
Hmm.
that's something that I am very interested in doing at some point. But I think
Hmm.
in terms of where to begin, creating folders, even if they're very large folders, with
Hmm.
that specifically title what something is, without
Right.
doing an item by item
Right.
organization, is a really easy first. I wouldn't say easy, it depends on how much stuff you have, but it's a good first step.
Hmm.
You don't have folders, everything is just in one big space.
One big blob of
Right.
photographs. Right.
And
Hmm.
for me, I don't know what other people use, but I have an iPhone. And so I don't even keep them in my folder, in my photo file. I keep
Hmm.
them in I move them all over
To your
into a
computer.
different, to my computer. And I put
Hmm.
them in files that way. And then, of course, they're uploaded to the cloud. And then I have a backup drive for those. So I don't
Okay.
even keep them in my photos, because I find that
Hmm.
that's not the most secure way for me to look at them. And it's
Hmm.
harder
Hmm.
for me, even when they're tagged or in those
Right.
folders, it's still harder for me to figure out what those photos are. So
Hmm.
I would recommend that too, to not keep them in whatever phone you have, whatever that main folder is for your
Okay.
photographs, to have some sort of backup for them
Hmm.
as well, especially if you really want to do something with them in the future. So
That's a great system. Yeah, that's a great
what,
system.
what do you do?
So what I do is I have an iPhone, I think a 16s. I'm not sure what the hell it is. Anyway, it has a plug here. And so
Okay.
what you can do is you can just simply put a thumb drive there,
Right.
you know, and or you can also hook up a hard drive, an external hard drive, which is awesome. And that's where I create the folders. I
Ah,
create them subject
okay.
wise. I create them by year because I know that what I'm trying to do with it. is to one, make space, and two, back them up. So I'll have um, this particular hard drive is backed up by yet another one, right? I don't do the cloud, but I do backup. So sometimes they're on my computer,
Okay.
not the full thing, and but most of the time they're on the backup, and that's the way I can find photographs for events, talks that I've given, workshops for that we've done. It can pull this all together, and so and that's yeah, really it's that first step is the folder step, which is really important to me. And the reason
Yeah.
why I do it is because I'm engaged with family history. I'm engaged with work that we do together. I do work outside of it. I have a photography practice, so I want sometimes I see something and I love it, and I just want to make sure that it's backed up a couple times. So when I decide to do a book, it's right there.
Yeah.
And I also want to grab family photographs and send them to my family ASAP.
Right.
I want to put my hands on them
You want to know
immediately.
where they
So
are.
that's my way. It's as simple as that. And I
So in
still have
your
a,
folder,
mhm.
what do you do? Do you how do you label the photo, the individual objects within your folder?
So the individual objects, what I'll do is I will first I go by last name underscore their first name, and then a year. Or if I have the date. Well, actually, some
Right.
of the stuff is already in the digital photograph, the dates and
Yeah.
all that, what have you, retrieved and all this nonsense. I mean, good stuff. But I try to keep it as basic as possible.
Right.
For example, I was about to describe to you how I label my documents, which is NAP underscore the event that we did and then underscore, and it'll just be the numeral date. So it'll be 014, 0414 2026. And again,
Okay.
that's already in the photo, but I want that, I mean, already on the, possibly on the document, but I want to be able to go, that's the event that we did in 2026 in
Right.
April, right? So it's a
That's
lot
great.
less because you can get caught up in the labels. You can get caught up in labeling something, and I just want it as simple as possible. Elaine, 1940, something of that nature. Just want to keep it as simple as possible.
Do you do
So,
anything when it comes to like deaccessioning, like not keeping things? Like as you're going through things, are you selecting what you should keep at that moment and getting rid of things that you shouldn't?
no, my first cut is the folder and possibly some labels for the photographs. And then like even when before we started filming, I told you that there'll be photographs you take a and there might be 9 photographs of relatively the same thing, but I know that the one that I like is probably number 4.
Hmm.
So then I'll do the cut, and then I'll with the accession and toss those, the ones that aren't good.
Okay.
So it's usually project based.
So you are making decisions though.
I am making decisions, yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. I think
Hmm.
I'm more reluctant to make decisions when it comes to digital
Why so?
files.
Tell me more.
I don't know, because I guess I just feel like not that I have tons of digital space, but enough. And
Hmm.
it's so easy to just click and be like delete, delete, delete.
Hmm.
And so I think with physical photos, though,
Hmm.
especially if I've scanned them, then I might toss them versus
Ooh.
save them.
Okay.
Um,
Hmm.
or if they're photos, especially if they're photos like of things that I know I'm not going to keep, again, this goes back to this why, like I'm not going to keep or pass on to someone. It's easier for me to let them go.
That's
Um,
interesting. Okay, yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
And so like if they're like historical photographs of my family, I'm going to scan them and keep them. Yes.
Hmm.
But for things that are, yes, like a young Stephen G. Full, oh, that's your father.
That's
How
my dad.
it looked like a young you. How old is your dad in this picture?
I believe I put it at 2022
Okay.
because I have his when he was 18 and he graduated from high school. So I think this is roughly around that time.
What is he
Um,
posing for there? Because I
that's a
thought that
very
was a
good
high
question.
school picture. That's not his high school picture?
That's not his high school picture. So there's a little bit of information on it, to my love, and then it sort of gets cut off here. So
Okay.
I'm not sure. No, it's
Who's the
definitely a high
love? Is
school.
it the love is your mother?
I don't know. I
Okay.
don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, roughly that's what I think he looked like just before, because he got married in 60 and
Okay.
so he was 18. So it's roughly around 2021, I think, around there. But these kinds of photographs were kind of popular,
Yeah.
meaning that they people would go in and take pictures, and then they would sort of colorize them because this is black and white, and they colorized it. And so I see a lot of those photographs, and they weren't connected to schools. They weren't connected to a graduation or something of that nature. So,
Oh, okay.
but yeah, so but that photograph I've replicated several times. And I plan on getting it blown up, so I have the original. I mean, not the original, but the negative to do that. Because I need to see him daily, like in my house. Like I
I
have
would love to
one.
see you and your father together at that age.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Um, it's funny. I pulled out these photographs. This is not what you're asking, but this is a baby picture. It's the earliest picture
It's
I've ever
not-
seen of myself.
oh, it's too hard to see you, but you look
Yeah.
very cute.
Well,
The,
yeah, I was
the
really
ghostly
roughly
ghost.
the color of the diaper.
Yeah, you look a little ghostly there.
But there are photographs. So I think I'm much more of a paper-based guy. I love digital life. I do for what it can do. It's amazing to be able to get in touch with people, to send information. But I love physical. I love physical stuff. So I'm a little bit of both. And so the point you were making earlier about digitizing something and then maybe keeping it, maybe letting it go. Do you ever give those images to people in your family that are related to that are your fam?
Yeah, you know what? So I've been doing a lot of that lately, especially getting ready for the reunion, trying to scan
Yeah.
photographs. And so, yes, so there are some that I have been photographing, and I'm planning to give it my niece who doesn't know it yet. A
Okay.
lot of them were of a trip that she took, well, my brother and family took when she was just a little baby to
Mm-hmm.
Rochester
Mm-hmm.
in the 90s. And I don't know if
Oh.
in the early 90s, yeah, and I don't know if she ever saw these photographs.
Mm-hmm.
So I plan to send her, there's a lot of photographs of her that I plan to send to her. So I'm going to digitize
Okay.
them and then send them to her so that she has, I'll send her the digital too, but
Mm-hmm.
so
To
she'll
have
also
both.
have the
Yeah.
physical. Yes. And so there's that. My uncle recently passed,
Mm-hmm.
and I have photographs from his house, and a lot are
Oh
from
wow.
early
Okay.
Navy photographs. I wish I had it with
Okay.
me right now.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of it just shows like, black life in the Navy. Like some of them they're
Nice.
by the planes, but some of them they're just like in their bunks, and
In the
they're just
barracks.
hanging out.
Yeah.
Yes, right. And
Yeah.
so I've been thinking about like where to send those photographs. So there are
Mm-hmm.
some that I will try to find like a home for somebody who might be
Mm-hmm.
interested in them. Um, so yeah, so I do some of that. I would say my personal photographs, like, I took with friends, or we took a trip to like
Mm-hmm.
Mexico, some of those, especially a lot of them, because if I was taking the pictures and they were filmed, there's a lot of really bad ones out there.
Oh no.
They're overexposed,
Do
underexposed.
not tell Miranda that.
So I'll, like,
Yes.
so it's easier to make I'm like, this picture is terrible.
Yes.
I don't
Yeah.
need 10 of the same kind of scene, and like all of them are really bad except for like these two. No, I can
Exactly.
get rid of those 8. It's just so much
Yeah.
easier in that moment, especially because you're saying physical. And although I have a lot of physical, it's not nearly as much as digital. Like, so
Wow.
thinking
Wow. Wow.
too, I guess my decision is like, okay, so even if
Mm-hmm.
I'm dealing with like 100 physical, I can weave that down and let go of
Okay.
some. But if I'm dealing with thousands of digital,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I just make a decision. I'm just like, okay, this is all from this event. I'm going to take it all and put it in this folder, and I'll deal with it one day. So
Yes.
like that's kind
No.
of like what
Yes.
my decision making process is. And so I guess it goes back to that why. Like, why am I doing it?
Why am
And
I doing
but with the
this?
physical, it's just, yes, it seems like a lot, especially if you're scanning it. But
Mm-hmm.
the amount of physical photographs I have, nowhere near digital, nowhere
That
near.
is
And so it's just so much easier to
insane.
make decisions with the
I
physical.
never thought about that. Yes, I have way more photo digital than analog for sure.
Right.
Um, my question, oh, well, not question, but a comment would be, what? So we both are like put it in a folder, put it in a folder, and then label it if
We're
you can. Put it in a
alchemists.
folder,
We're like, put it in a box
put it in a box, put it in a folder, put it in a box.
and label
And
it.
so the was going to say that capacity comes to mind
Yeah.
based on what we just said. We'll deal with it later, right? And so this is where earlier on when you mentioned that I do this thing called Archive Sundays, and what it is a group of us will get together and work on our individual projects, but we'll be on Zoom and we'll check in every half hour or hour to say, hey, this is what I've done and this is what I'm moving along. And it's kind of like being in a house with a bunch of people going through stuff, and then you break for coffee or tea and then you go back to your thing. But it's the reason why I do it is because I have a lot of archival and book projects. And so I need time to do that because I'm sure everyone who's watching this now or in the future has a busy life.
Yeah.
And this is work that I recommend doing. I won't say needs to be done. I'll say recommend doing because it's rewarding. It's also a memory project. You're going through things and you're remembering things. I
Yeah.
remember that photograph. I remember that. I was looking for that. And so I love being able to put my hands on something, digitize it, label it, put it away, or what have you. And then someone from my family or friends will go, do you have any pictures of that one thing? And I can go right to it. I love that. It's one of my favorite feelings in the world.
Right. Is to be
you
able to
know,
just come up and produce, yeah, and give it to
right?
them.
But there were several steps before it was able to get to that point, and
I
so
love that.
capacity is a big thing to think about. Absolutely.
I would, I 100% agree. And you just making me think about some other things to think about when starting off. So if
Hmm.
it is your physical materials, um, not only just carving out the time to physical or
Hmm.
digital, I should say, carving out the time to do this work, but if it is physical materials, you got to carve out a space because at
Yes.
some point you're going to have piles or you're going to need to have like this uninterrupted area that you're
Hmm.
keeping things
Right.
to make it easier to just keep jumping back in it. And so just think about that too. Like, where am I going to do this work? If I'm going to scan things with a phone or with a scanner, like, where am I going to
Hmm.
do it where things won't get disrupted by somebody else
Right.
in my environment? Or even by me, like putting something down on the table when I got all these photographs. And so, like, really thinking about, like
Hmm.
Stephen was talking about capacity, like structuring your time of how you're going to go through these materials. If you're going to
Hmm.
get up at 8 o'clock in the morning and then to 5 o'clock stop and do that daily, then like you've got it you can kind of leave like an office, leave it as
Right.
is.
Absolutely.
But if it's just going to be a Sunday and you want to make sure you've got this kind of plan of like where things left off, how you're
Hmm.
keeping the material so you can go back to it with ease. Because I
Hmm.
feel like the more it's harder to do it, the more roadblocks you have, the harder it is. So
Right.
like if
I agree.
if you constantly have to put everything back into a box and then take it back
Hmm.
out, that can make it a little bit more difficult to like want to get into it. So
That's a really good
do
point.
yeah,
Hmm.
create a space that makes it easier for you to begin and stay with the work.
Right.
Um,
Even if you have to stop and pause, a
right.
week, a couple of days. I think that's some very good advice because if you're moving it around all the time, you might get caught up in the thing, moving it or accessing it. Where did I begin? Where did I stop? That
Hmm.
kind of thing. And it's 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 labor,
Yeah.
no doubt. It's labor, but it can be more joyful if you have that space that you're talking about. That empty table that may not exist in your house until you make it an empty table. I have a foldable table that I do a lot of archiving and writing, and I will have piles of things and I know it's right there. Early on, Miranda asked me because mylar, sort of thin plastic, is a really good way to encapsulate your photographs that are fragile, older, these kinds of things. And so when she asked me, about it, I was able to go right to my work table that is up right now and grab a piece to show you guys. It's
Well, that
awesome stuff.
also helps with capacity because, our minds have so much going on in it. And if you could just sit down and pick up where you left off, it makes it
Hmm.
so much easier. But when you have to sit down and be like, oh man, where
So
did I leave off? What did I do last?
exactly.
That makes it even more exhausting. And like Steven said,
Hmm.
less fun. So make it, and do it with somebody. That's always, if
Yes.
I've been trying to get my niece to do this with me, because also the great thing is, and I will have like family members come over and tell me about the pictures, and so
Correct.
if you
Context.
can get that
Hmm.
context in the moment, if you don't want to write it, speak it into your phone and
Hmm.
have it down in that way. Or if you have somebody with you, you could talk about it and they could write it
Hmm.
down,
Right,
but
right.
getting it in the
Or
moment is
record you.
better.
Hmm. Yeah.
If you're doing it after the fact, it might not happen. So it's better, even if it prolongs the process, it's kind of better to get it done in that moment, because it's
Hmm.
oftentimes we don't go back to it. So
Often. Hmm. And
depending on how
other
many
things happen.
photographs, right?
Yeah. Other things happen. I want to mention a couple things that someone on LinkedIn asked us, wondered if we had time to sort of talk about.
Okay.
And it's really about downloading and retrieving photographs from social media, like from Facebook or Instagram, from X. When you go into those spaces, into your settings, they will tell you exactly what you need to do to download your Facebook file, your Instagram file, your X file, and other social media platforms. I think everybody has the ability to do that. And so that's really helpful, and easy to find out about how to do on the internet. So I did a quick look at it. It was like, okay, it's just go to settings, go to settings, go to settings, privacy and security, your Facebook information. And what they'll do is they'll send it in a zip file. Because sometimes I do that just to keep up to date about, what's on my Facebook page. And so it's a good way to remember if your account disappears, or you'll have your stuff, you know. So maybe part of the practice, if you're concerned about having your information out there, this is a good way to secure it and to pull it back when you delete it, perhaps, and then you'll still know what you have.
Would you recommend that people, as part of the practice, that they periodically
I,
download materials, like maybe once a year or quarterly, or
I think it's
just so
your
that they can have
usage.
a record?
I
Hmm.
think your usage will probably dictate how often you download stuff. For someone like one of my aunts is on Facebook, she rarely, rarely posts anything. Her main goal is to go to your page and find out what you're doing and like your stuff, which I think is awesome. So for her, that would be like a year, and that might even be a concern to her. For someone who is writing a lot, someone who's posting a lot of photographs, personal photographs, I would say quarterly. I would say follow the seasons, you know,
Now,
March.
I'm
Hmm.
guessing too that people who are interested in getting these things are, like, they haven't held on to them in their photo albums, because the one thing you want to think about, if you I guess this would be true for people who don't have it anywhere else, right? Like,
Hmm.
you maybe you posted something 10 years ago and now you no longer
Right.
have that photograph.
Right.
Because the other thing you don't want to do, what I would seriously advise against, is having a lot of duplicates. So if you
Yes.
have it, and if it's about that you can't find it, it's probably better to find it first than to just
Hmm.
download it, because the more duplicates you have in your photo albums, the more overwhelming it'll be to go through everything and
Right.
organize it. So
Hmm.
I would say, before downloading things, if it's because you can't find it in your
Hmm.
materials, but you think it might be there, it might be better to take a moment to try to find it. If it's because you know it's not there, you lost your phone and that
Hmm.
was the only phone that you had that photograph on, and now you need to download it.
Exactly.
So I would
Exactly.
think about, like, why, and I'm not sure if some people are just automatically taking pictures that are
Hmm.
going to
Hmm.
social media that aren't any other device. But I would just
Hmm.
caution against the duplication of
Hmm.
content as you're going through and doing this. And it could be that the people are also looking at the wrapper. So it's not even just the picture that you're downloading, but it's also
The
how you
context.
the
Hmm.
context, right? And so that's a totally different subject. But if it's
Hmm.
just the photo itself, yeah, just be weary of downloading too many duplicates that you then
And
have to go through.
there are at least two or three apps, Miranda, that, or probably even more, that help you identify duplicates the best best, the one with the highest resolution, that kind of thing.
Yep.
You don't want to pay for that, of course, but it is an option for those of you who take a lot of photographs and you like, oh my God, I downloaded this into this and now I have four versions of the same thing. And you don't want to go click, click, drag to the drag.
Yeah.
You want it to be
That's
an
a good
easy
point.
process.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yep.
And
Definitely.
so,
But we on this channel we talked about photographs before. I can't even remember. We're not that good at recalling which episodes we've talked about photographs.
hmm
We talked
hmm
about like digitizing them. We will keep talking about that. Like, there's a lot of I could say about
hmm
digitizing photographs that I have not mentioned on this
hmm
particular episode, but on this
right.
particular kickback, I should say. But if there are specifics, anything, water damage to photographs, if that's
hmm
a big one, or, rips, or the best way
hmm
to digitize negatives, anything specific that you're interested in, definitely leave us a comment. Um,
Please do.
and, something that you might be interested in, like talking more about, or if
Hmm.
you've got things that
Tips.
you've done, yeah,
Right. Your
when
photo
it comes,
curator or preservationist, and any tips you might have for our listeners, for us, we're totally open. We're very
yeah.
interested.
And just the different things that you've done with your photographs, whether physical
Hmm.
or digital. And I think like the fun thing is that we could get into maybe at another time is like why we're doing this. Like we've talked
Right.
about it in Stephen talked about producing family books, or being
Hmm.
able to give photographs to people, to his family members
Right.
when they ask for them. And for me,
Hmm.
I'm doing it for my family reunion.
Hmm.
And so, but it'd be interesting, we do things too. NAP, Nomadic Archivist Project. We're
Hmm.
coming up on our 10-year anniversary next year. And so we're going to be going back through our archives and
Ooh,
putting together,
that is something. I can't
looking
believe
back at
it's
all those
almost 10
photographs.
years.
Yeah.
I feel like we were in that coffee shop talking about it, and
In Harlem, coffee
in
shop in Harlem
Harlem.
in 2017.
Yes, formerly known as ACP Cafe, and but yeah, it was really powerful.
Yeah.
And we've done a lot nationally, internationally, and we continue to do a lot of things. And so archives are our lives. And to your point, Miranda, the why of what you're doing is the most important thing when you archive anything. Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
And so
So yeah,
starting there is a
share it
good guide.
too. Yeah. So if
Hmm.
you've got things that um, the reason why you're doing it, that's interesting. And I think it'll also help other people think through
Hmm.
like why, because at some point you're like, why am I doing this?
Yes, yes, and you want to stay on course because you already know why you're going to do it, but
But it
but
is
it can't.
helpful. Like Stephen was
Yeah.
talking about, like this idea of herding cats when it comes to like getting things for your family. But when you
Mhm.
do get it to them, people love it. People love
People
it and they
love it.
appreciate it and they're moved by it and they're
Hmm.
impacted by it. And it can feel sometimes like, what nobody's responding,
Right.
but they will, and people
But
do
then,
respond. And so it is important, to always
mhm,
hold on to that. So, but yeah, the why is so
it's
crucial.
critical. And I'm not sure if it's this way for you, Miranda, or for some of you out there, that once they find out that you're the person, I do get information from people, digital photographs, physical things. I know that you like this kind of thing. So
Right,
you become that person to receive it because they trust you,
right,
that you're going to do something, you're going to take care of it
right.
at the least. So
Yeah,
it's a good feeling.
it is. Well, I think we're at time, my
We're at
friend.
time. Yeah, we're at time. And I enjoyed talking to you about this. I love thinking about archives and I love photography, personal, professionally. I just love it. I think it's an amazing form. So
Yeah, you'll have to talk more about your photography practice on another kickback.
I will. I
Yeah.
can.
And
Alrighty.
if anybody has ideas for other future kickbacks, let us
Let
know.
us know. We're here every other Tuesday
We were
at
supposed
six
to be
o'clock.
joined by the fabulous Lee tonight, but
Mm-hmm.
he couldn't make it. So hopefully, on the next kickback, which is every other Tuesday at 6
Mm-hmm.
p.m.
Eastern
Um,
Standard Time. Yes.
Yes, thank you. Eastern Standard Time. He'll be joining us, and
Hmm.
have no idea what that will be about, but I'm sure it'll be great.
Should be good. Yeah. Yes. Awesome.
It'll be good. But until then, I
Mm-hmm.
hope everybody has an amazing rest of their Tuesday.
Mm-hmm. Be good to yourself. Be good to take care of somebody. It's that kind of life. Like
Yes.
have a good life. Take care of somebody.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. Good night.
Take good care. Good night.